had some epiphanies recently. You know, we've been talking about assets and liabilities, right? And then we also talked about men and women's role in society and how gender roles are changing and everything like that. And it got me thinking, like, and we also talked about how mentors can be assets that eventually turn into liabilities, and relationships and virtually everything. So it got me thinking, maybe qualities and personality traits and characteristics can also be assets that turn into liabilities too, eventually. So, I've been trying to like establish my core values and for my branding purposes and everything like that, and get like the fans and you know, all the followers and everybody on board with the same thing. And it got me thinking, like, when I was making a list of all of these things, what doesn't change from an asset to a liability? Because I'm like even looking at love now as a principle. Love can be an asset that eventually turns into a liability.
I think anything that you hold on to for too long,
right,
anything that you are trying to like that overspends the time that it's supposed to go, can turn into that liability. I think that is. So it's like, if you don't, you know,
because everything
accept
grows.
it for what it is, and like say you don't want to let go of something or whatever, because
right,
you like, it could be your fault. You know what I'm saying? Like you could be the one that turned it to, well, most likely it is gonna be your fault. But yeah, I think that's
because like evolution and growth, that's a principle. That's a principle in life. Maybe that's.
Oh yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's right.
You know, like, because love changes over time, and if love is stagnant, it becomes a point where it's no longer love anymore. If it's stagnant, if it's not growing, if you're not growing, you're dying. So,
I think that's where the whole factor of being scared to grow come from. Like, people don't want to admit that or nothing, but that's where that fear comes from to elevate and to grow. Come from.
What, the fear of death?
No, the fear of you have to keep changing. Things have to keep changing. Things have to keep going, because people, it's a comfort zone. When you know
that's ironic, because it's like your fear is making you die. You know what I'm saying? What you fear most is evident in your life.
Well, that's probably why they say when you let go of fear, you used to begin to live type shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? All that shit correlate. Yeah.
That's so ironic to me. I was also thinking about you know, in regards to principles and everything. We were talking about Nipsey. We were talking about 6ix9ine, Tupac, and how some people stand on what they believe in as opposed to others. You know, they kind of like change what they believe in over time. We talked about Kanye.
Well, changing what you believe in and withering on what you believe in is to the thing, because you know you can respectably change what you are believing just because of your growth, but then it's different when you're withering on, like, say you're not standing on what you say actively in real time that you really do. That's two different things.
Where do you draw the line? I feel you, but I'm trying to like articulate what you're saying. You know what I mean? Like, I can empathize with what you're saying, but how would anybody else know where you drew the line other than yourself? You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you?
Who else needs to know though? That'd be the main point that people fucked up about. Like,
public perception is important, like whether we want to admit it or not.
Well, that's the problem though. It's not. It's a major factor of why people do what they do and all of that, but that's the problem. People need to be. I feel like people need to be worried about themselves.
Yeah.
When you understand yourself, and if you understand yourself, and that's what keep you. If you keep concentrating on your self growth and where you are in your inside only, you're gonna be on the track. But then if you start mixing it with what people think and percent, you're gonna be going up, down, and you're gonna be doing all this. It ain't gonna even be a constant growth because you only know where you really are.
But then,
I mean, it's cool to know what people think they're perceiving, just because you can be conscious of what they're thinking you are in society, but that doesn't really matter like that much as far as it should lead what you're doing.
I feel what you're saying, and I personally agree with what you're saying. But then I come back to assets and liabilities. If society perceives you to be a liability and you threaten their way of life, then that's when they take you out.
So that don't mean change what you're doing. It's good to be.
Agree.
It's good to be.
I agree.
Now, if you know that, then you will know how to move. That don't mean, you know what I'm saying, you can move slicker. That's just like the conversation we said with Kendrick. How we think Kendrick is just moving slicker than Pac. Yeah. Because of what Pac did. You know what I'm saying? That don't mean not do it at all.
But he is conscious.
Move better.
He is conscious of the public's perception of him, though.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I keep saying it's cool to be conscious of it. It's not cool to have it. Let it lead your decision. Okay. Nah, that's exactly what I said though. Okay. But and that's what I'm saying. It's cool to know that and to be conscious of it, because then you can't
have a point of reference.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I got you.
I can feel that.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Checks out. Also, I feel like that pretty much sums, because we have a mutual understanding on that point. Pretty sure. Thinking if I'm tying anything else up. Let's say 6ix9ine. No, he don't give a fuck about what people think about. Okay.
Nah, I think he do, but then again, he play a game where he don't.
Yeah.
He play a game where he don't.
Because if he didn't, he wouldn't make any revenue. He wouldn't be generating funds.
But at a point he don't. But then he do.
Right.
You know.
It's like what you said. He's conscious of it. He's aware of it, but he don't let it dictate his life.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because he even saying, keep it real, like he want people to like him. He wanted people to like him. He really did want to like
even Kanye.
Even like the blood and all that. He wanted that to go right. He wanted them to like him. He wanted them to accept him. Right. He wanted that. Right. It just didn't, and then he had to play his cards.
And even Kanye
type
too.
Shit.
Yeah.
What you mean?
Like he could say, like he can act out and everything, but he wants to this public perception of him where he don't give a fuck type shit. I feel, because if he didn't want that image of him to be out there, he wouldn't project like as hard as he does.
Yeah. Because I mean,
it's the best
marketing.
Natural
piece of you gotta not give a fuck, because you gotta continue to be you, and if you is so off from what everybody else do, you gotta have a not give a fuck to you. But then, like they said, it's like that point of reference. Like you gotta know how far you off and type shit. Like, and then just to know, like, okay, because he know what he's doing. He's supposedly being the futuristic one. You know what I'm saying? So he know it's gonna look different and be different, and he's accepting that shit. But
that's good shit. That's really interesting. Yeah, I'm storing that. It's going away in my database, my file and everything. Pull that out. Hey, he didn't see this coming. Shit.